many times have we heard old school players complain about today's NBA?
The game is a little bit softer. I say if it's no blood, no foul, right?
Yeah, I like kind of smash mouth. I mean, kids might be a little too sensitive for that nowadays.
Oh, there's still beef. Look, I agree it is not the 1970s with Kermit Washington punching and nearly killing Rudy Tomjanovich or Kurt Rambis and the whole clothesline thing. But call me crazy, I prefer my stars on the court, not in the hospital. Either way, NBA rivalries are not dead, and in today's video, we're gonna go over the top 4 current rivalries in the NBA. Hey guys, it's Casey Kiernan, host of the AM Hoops YouTube channel. Hit subscribe, we're trying to grow this channel. We're coming out with 3 quality NBA videos every single week. Also, follow me on Instagram, AM Hoops, and on Twitter at Casey Kiernan. The Warriors' downfall has really killed a lot of the modern NBA rivalries. Golden State against Houston was legit. The Rockets were one of the few teams to stand up to the Warriors in recent years. Also, we had the Cavaliers and the Warriors. They met in the finals a record 4 straight times, but LeBron moving to LA killed that one. Historic rivalries like Lakers-Celtics or Knicks-Pacers are always gonna matter, but what about for the 2019-2020 season? We start, the number 4 rivalry is Rockets against the Clippers. The first thing that makes any present day rivalry good is both teams being good, and they have recent playoff history. The epic 2015 Rockets comeback, or collapse if you're a Clippers fan, but what really makes it a rivalry is Russell Westbrook's beef with Patrick Beverley.
Harden shoving him away, doesn't want him to get involved even more.
Oh, I wish I didn't do it.
You guys technical.
What else is in?
Back in 2013 in the playoffs, Beverley was on the Rockets. He was trying to steal the ball from Russ when Westbrook tore his lateral meniscus in his knee and was out the rest of the postseason. Obviously a big blow to the Thunder. In March of 2014, they had to be separated when Beverley went for the ball after a timeout. Russ went below the belt there in 2017 in the postseason. In 2018, Beverley returned the favor, going at Westbrook's knees. Off the court, the guys have thrown jabs in the media. Here's Westbrook about Pat Beverley's elite defense just this year.
Pat Bev trick y'all, man, like he playing defense. He don't guard nobody, man, just running around doing nothing.
Okay, Pat Beverley actually is really good at defense, like all NBA level. That's just Westbrook being blinded by his hatred. Even though Harden did score a gaudy amount of points on that night, he was 0 for 6 with 4 turnovers when Pat Bev was guarding him. The rivalry goes back to actually when Chris Paul was a Rocket too. Basically, when you get 2 of the NBA's most annoying franchises together, there will be bad blood. Our number 3 current rivalry is whatever team Kawhi is on against the Spurs. Again, this is the Clippers. Spurs fans love to love their players. They've had legendary fan favorites. But if you turn on them, there is no wrath like a crazy high school ex-girlfriend or a Spurs fan done wrong. Kawhi's Spurs exit ranks right up there with the messiest in NBA history. The superstar left the team and the city to seek outside medical advice because he didn't trust team doctors. But the mistrust was so deep that Kawhi demanded a trade. The trade did bring back 4-time All-Star DeMar DeRozan, but Spurs fans felt like Kawhi abandoned them. They paid him $20 million to play all of 9 games that year, despite being cleared by an all-world NBA medical staff. Whether or not you feel like that's true or is valid, at least that's how Spurs fans think. Plus, he deserted him that year, even in the playoffs, and let's be honest, he's done quite well since, and that always hurts when the ex has a really good-looking significant other. While the Spurs barely made the playoffs last season, granted, put up a real fight in the first round, they lost. Kawhi, meanwhile, won a championship with the Raptors, Finals MVP, and now he's on an LA team. If there's one thing that small markets hate, it's seeing their stars go to the bright lights in the big city. Just ask Paul George, who is still getting booed now as a Clipper. Of course, Spurs fans let Kawhi know that the last time the Clippers came to the Alamo City.
Number 2, Kawhi.
Oh, Spurs fans got their revenge that night. In a somewhat lost season for the Spurs, they were able to actually beat the LA Clippers, one of the few teams to beat them with Kawhi and Paul George on the court. Those boos, by the way, sound like a fan base who's used to a Tim Duncan, a Manu Ginobili, a David Robinson, Players who wear the silver and black with pride, win championships, and go out as a Spur. Now, I personally think that it's hard to blame Kawhi Leonard. The injury obviously wasn't fake. We saw it when he was limping last year in the playoffs with Toronto and how he's had to sit so many games this year. Plus, those fans need to remember, this man left $118 million on the table when he refused the Supermax. To me, if a guy pays that much, he can play for any team he wants in the league. Other stars are booed in their returns, but they usually die down after a few years. You get the feeling that Spurs fans are gonna boo Kawhi Leonard on whatever team he's on until he retires. Our number 2 rivalry in the NBA today is the Lakers against, there they are again, the Clippers. This one combines 2 great attributes from a great rivalry. Number 1, geography, and number 2, talent. The Clippers and Lakers were the top 2 title favorites before the season for the first time ever because they're both loaded with superstars. The offseason saw Anthony Davis finally traded to the Lakers. The AD and LeBron James pairing is better than anyone imagined. LA is crushing teams with AD at the 4 and LeBron handling the ball. They have the best record in the West with an elite defense too. The Clippers effectively got Kawhi Leonard in addition to Paul George in a single trade with OKC. Kawhi is managing his injury, but this is a 66-win team when he plays according to their record. It's really a fun time for hoops in LA. It's the epicenter of pro basketball, people like to say. Now they could realistically meet in a Western Conference Finals. The absolute peak of this budding rivalry would come as soon as 2021. The NBA has discussed a rule that would get rid of conference finals altogether and instead reseed the Final Four in the NBA. Can you imagine a Lakers against Clippers NBA Finals? Instead of most years where teams log hours and hundreds of thousands of miles on a plane between games, they would sleep in their own beds the entire finals. Still, we could see this in the conference finals this season, and it could be just the first of a long-standing rivalry if these two stay relevant. Of course, the Lakers and Celtics are both really good right now. They're both relevant teams. But to be honest, Clippers-Lakers just has a little more juice this season. And there are multiple reasons for this. Yeah, they share the same building. They play 4 times a year instead of 2. But that's nothing new. What is new is what happened this offseason. When the Clippers got Kawhi Leonard, they essentially stole him away from the Lakers. Reports say if he wouldn't have been a Clipper, he probably would have been a Laker. That still stings in the minds of Laker fans and their players. Plus, these two teams are going to go after the same players to upgrade their roster in this trade window and in the buyout market, like Andre Iguodala. Or they'll probably fight over the same free agents in the offseason. I mean, this is a present-day rivalry on the court and in the front office. But the number 1 rivalry in the current NBA is Celtics-Sixers. This one combines every great element of a true rivalry in 2019-2022. Geography, 300 miles apart, talent, and history. These two teams have played each other more in the playoffs than any other rivalry in the NBA. 20 times the Celtics and the Sixers have played each other in the postseason. The Knicks and Celtics are second most at 15, but the historical high stakes are ridiculous between Sixers-Celtics. 13 of the 20 times these teams have played, it was for a ticket to the NBA Finals. Some of the all-time greats, too, have been a part of this matchup. Wilt Chamberlain against Bill Russell? What about Dr. J against Larry Bird? They even made a video game out of that. Forget 2K, am I right? Since then, we've seen the truth go up against the answer, and now they are both relevant again, have been for a few years now, and could meet for another finals berth. Come to think of it, actually, Joel Embiid might disagree with this being number 1.
I don't know our record against them, but it's pretty bad. They always kick our ass, so this is not a rivalry.
Yes, the Celtics have played a part in Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons' poor reputation in the postseason. They knocked Philly out in 5 games back in 2018 without Kyrie Irving. In fact, the Sixers were 2-10 against the Celtics in games that Embiid and Al Horford both played. So now that Big Al is on the Sixers, maybe Embiid will consider it a rivalry, and maybe the Sixers will start to get even. We, of course, already think it is number 1. If I missed any rivalries, be sure to leave it in the comments. Let me know what you think. It's a shame more of the traditional rivalries are not relevant right now, but I think what we've got this year is pretty damn good too. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a weekly NBA video.